All right, the next part of the roof is drip edge and tar paper, which we don't use tar paper anymore. We use this Pro Armor stuff. It's a little bit slippery when it's wet, so you got to be careful with that. But it is a much better product. If you're especially if you're having to walk away for a couple days before you get the shingles on, this will not tear like tar paper will. It also doesn't get quite as hot. But if you're going to walk away from this and not roof it right away, what we typically do, we'll put the paper down and then put this over so that the drip edge will cover the outside edge and hold it down. In order to shed water properly, you really should put the drip edge down and then put the paper over top of it. So the first sheet will go all the way down, and when you overlap the next course, you need to bring that overlap down to this line, and then it'll fold over the top of the peak. So with the drip edge, whenever possible, I don't know what is happening when people are doing it, but when they're cutting it to length, they end up running out. So what we want you to do is to put the piece up, extend it out where it would naturally, it's a full piece, and then cut it and bend it down. So an easy way to make this look good on the peak is to use this line right here as your guide and just cut it straight up and then fold this part behind, and it gives you a nice straight up and down line. Okay, for the roofing portion of this, we've laid down our tar paper, we've secured it. I always try to secure it well. Don't try to skimp on the button tab or staples. It's good to have it secure, especially if you're not going to be able to roof it right away. But we have a starter strip running down on all of the edges, so you can see we've got enough provided so all the edges will be able to have this tar strip that will adhere to the shingle and keep everything nice and tight. You're going to start with a couple of full shingles. I offset the seam for this starter strip so that everything sheds, and when water hits this, it's not going to hit roof underneath it. So those things are offset. And we offset with these steps to do the same thing. And the measurements for this are pretty simple. If you cut your first one at an 8, it leaves you a 31. If you cut the next one at 15, it leaves you a 24. And as long as you use a straight edge, you can not have to worry about the factory edge part of that. You're going to start with a full and then step that out, and then we're going to come back behind, put full shingles on each end of those and run those out. But then we're going to step that back up to the peak and do the same thing on the back side. So it takes 2 of these steps sets to get up one side. We don't want to skimp on the nails. The manufacturer requires a certain amount for their warranty, but on the long ones, let's put 6 in. But when you get to the edge, put some nails up at the top. You don't typically do that. The next layer nails that part. We'll put some nails on the top so that we can keep wind from blowing those shingles up. All right, to finish out, and again, this is just another way to do it to minimize the amount of waste, the way we're instructing you. So this is the bottom row was a full start, and when I get to the end, I had maybe a 1/2 inch or a 1/4 over. You can trim that. I'm actually going to leave it, but you should have less than an inch of waste when you do it that way. And so to finish out these other steps, you're going to measure and cut. So I measured and cut. It was a little bit under 7. measure and cut that. Leave the piece you have left over, because this piece here will finish out this row. So I've measured and I'm getting ready to cut this piece here. And if you've got the ability to, a nice pair of long bladed shears works really well. You don't want to go back to cutting aluminum with this, but if you can designate a pair, it makes it a lot neater. But as you can see, with just 2 cuts, I have the finish for these 4 rows. So for the final part of the roof, we've provided the ridge cap, which we've cut out a 3-tab. So if you are seasoned at it, you can reasonably do this. But I would recommend putting that up where it needs to be and just snapping a simple line so you can make sure it stays nice and straight along the roof. But you're just going to put these cap on, nail it down. You got to remember that the roof line, the plywood only runs to about here, so you're going to want to nail that down. Make sure it's nice and secure, and then they're just going to overlap just like that, and you're going to nail again, and you're going to run this all the way to the other side of the roof, covering or leaving about a 5-inch reveal. On the very end one, you're going to end up having to cut this part off, and it'll just be this square part, and it'll cover that last little bit, and the nails on that one will be exposed. If you've got a little bit of blackjack caulk, you can put that in there, but it's not going to hurt anything. I recommend starting on the front, making sure it's nice and dressed up. That's the part that's going to be seen the most.